How are you feeling now that it's had a night to sink in that you're the winner of Big Brother Canada 6?
Honestly, even after a night's sleep, it hasn't sunk in yet. Like today, I'm starting to feel a little bit like a winner, but it's just a lot to process. Like yesterday, I was just a house guest. Today, I'm $100,000 richer. I'm a winner, and it's a lot to take in.
For sure. And after losing so many competitions to start the season, how did it feel to win the final 2 HOHs?
Honestly, a lot of my strategy, I'm not sure how I was portrayed, but a lot of my strategy was to throw so many of those competitions. I think towards the last quarter of the comps were the ones I was trying in, and it doesn't feel good because you think, okay, once I try, I'm sure I can pull it out, and then you don't. It feels awful, especially, with Kayla and Derek that were just sweeping through us. And I just knew if I put my mind to it, I was going to be able to pull it out, and when I did, it was really reassuring. It felt really good.
And at what point did you know that you were going to pick Kayla over Derek, and why'd you make that choice?
Honestly, I'm surprised to hear some people ask that because in the house, it was clear as day that anybody sitting next to Kayla was going to have a much better chance than sitting next to Derek. I had my mind made up probably when I won that first part of even before that. I think when I won that final 4 HOH, I knew that I was going to be having a chance to fight for my life at the end. I knew I was going to pick Kayla because she's not able to articulate herself as well. She, didn't do so well with her eviction speech, so I always had that in mind. She had made a lot of enemies in the jury house, and I knew that Derek was going to be able to do a much better job, and he had more friends in the jury house, so that's why.
And a number of the jurors, when they left, it seemed like they were leaning towards voting for Derek or Kayla. What do you think you did to change that?
I think a lot had to do with that final speech. You got to own your game, but you also got to give credit where credit's due. You got to be nice to the jurors. You don't want to be, condescending by any means because you need their vote. And to be honest with you, I didn't think that I was going to be having Allie and Liv's votes, but the questions that they asked me made me realize they were willing to give me a shot if I were to give them a reason. And I think that it was that final pitch and just kind of the way I answered the questions that did it for them.
Okay. And when you were choosing who to evict, you said something about Derek and Kayla were responsible for 6 or so of those people sitting out there.
Yeah.
So why do you think you won in such a landslide despite that?
Because that's not the only thing that the game of Big Brother is about. The game of Big Brother is a game of social, game, and obviously comp wins are there to help you get to the next week, but that's not what the game of Big Brother is about. There's a lot to do with strategy, social relationships help you, even in the end, because jury management, for example, that is something you have to do. Who cares if you get to the end if you did 0 jury management and you end up second place? So I think it's not just about comp wins, and I think that's why I won, because I showed that I could have comp wins at the end if I needed to, but I think it was my relationships that won me the jury.
Okay. And how big of a help was it when you got to talk to the former winners, and did they help you formulate your final plea?
Absolutely. It was probably one of the best things that's happened to me in the house. They really helped me just realize the game that I had played, and more so kind of put a focus on the fact that I didn't need to win comps, because that was one of my fears was, sitting next to these 2 compies. They're like, you didn't have to win competitions. You had a good enough social game. You went 10 nominations without ever hitting the block. You had this, and that going for you. Tell them about the fact that you made them look like idiots by pretending to be so dumb, by pretending to be easy to manipulate when you weren't. And so it really, really helped me.
And had Derek and Kayla made it to the final 2, who was getting your vote and why?
I think same reason that the rest of the jury didn't vote for Kayla. I think Derek was going to be getting my vote just because Kayla was so condescending. And again, I don't know the edit that she got, but she made a point to kind of rub things in people's faces and just kind of be like, I'm this, I'm that. And I don't think people sit well with that, because it is a game where your emotions, do play a factor. And yeah, even if Derek was the one to eliminate or to evict me, I think he would have had my vote, just because he'd done a much better job of giving credit where credit was due, being nice to the evicted house guests, as opposed to being like, you're a bunch of babies and, I'm better than you, and that's why I'm here and you're there.
Okay. And you said numerous times while you were talking to the cameras that you had a hand in every eviction since week 4. So I'm wondering, do you actually believe that, or were you trying to sell Canada on that after you heard that they were cheering when you were called a floater?
No, I believe that, but again, I give credit where credit is due. I know I wasn't the only influence in a lot of those evictions, but I went in there with Erica's HOH and I said, hey, Veronica's coming for you. Veronica thinks she's running this house. Veronica's dishonest. Veronica's this and that. that was, part of convincing her. With Liv getting her to not put up Maddie, because it's like, Maddie's a floater, Maddie's not going to be going against you, Maddie's a vote for you. I started the feud with Johnny, Dayla, and Dayla. I kept Johnny, got him to go after Dayla, then kept Kayla, got her to go after them. Even with Kayla, I mean, again, you don't know how much gets shown, but there was a lot of times where I went in there and was like, hey, Erica's undermining your win. Like, you might want to, do something about that. So, again, I don't know how much was shown, but I know the live feeders know what they know, and that's all that matters to me.
You threw Maddie under the bus numerous times.
Yeah.
And then when you found out that she did it to you, you told her that you had never been so hurt.
Yeah.
Were you actually hurt by that, or were you trying to make sure that she wouldn't do it again by saying that?
A little bit of both, because I definitely threw Maddie under the bus a lot, and she knew that, but that was part of our strategy, because I had the influence with a lot of people that she didn't. If I were to go to Liv and Allie and Erica and say, I love Maddie, Maddie's my number one, they were never going to tell me anything about Maddie. I had to pretend like I wasn't good with Maddie in order to get information to come back to Maddie to tell her, hey, don't worry, Vito's being used on you. Or, hey, don't worry, I talked to Liv, you're not going up on the blog. Hey, I talked to Kayla, Ryan's going up on the blog instead of you. If I were to be best friends with Maddie, no one was going to be listening to me. So yeah, a little bit of it was the fact that I had watched her back a lot, but a little bit of it was also the fact that I didn't want her to do it again.
Okay, one last one, just your overall thoughts on the experience. Any final thoughts?
It was a hell of a ride, man. It's crazy being in there. It's a lot easier to watch the game and say, oh, this is how I would have done it, or what an idiot, she did this here, but it's a different experience to be in the house with no information, and all you have is what people tell you, and 99% of the time it's lies, so it's hard.